it came to a point where I was like ready. I attempted suicide several times, and it wasn't happening. It just was not.
It ain't your time, baby.
I wasn't dying. I'm not going to do that anymore. But you have to show me who I am.
Hey, beautiful sisters. Welcome back to another episode of Sister Love Podcast. And today we have Ly'chel, and she's going to take a little time to introduce herself, what she do professionally, and why she's here today. Well, I'll give the mic to you.
Okay, thank you for introducing me. Mm-hmm. My name is Ly'chel Carmichael, and I am an educator. I'm in the field of education and IT, and today I'm here to talk a little bit about my life journey, and how I ended up crossing the intersection of education and IT through the life of trauma.
All right. Thank you so much for that introduction. Now, can you tell us a little bit about your story, like your background of how we got here and the trauma that you experienced?
Yeah, it was really, truly unique. So I'm a person with disabilities. I have a learning disability. So my background, basically, I have ADHD, which was undiagnosed as a child. And so being an educator right now, I am a special educator. So I understand wholeheartedly how a child like me, who was very mature for her age, very verbal, went undiagnosed with ADHD. I did also have dyslexia and dysgraphia. So I was able to mask the fact that I could not read or really write all the way up to the 11th grade year. So it actually was my 10th grade year, to be honest. I didn't even do the 10th grade. I actually failed the 9th grade almost 3 times before someone was able to figure out through a brain injury that I had these disabilities. So it was really a troubling, hard schooling type of thing that I went through. And education was just really a struggle for me.
I totally understand. I have 4 kids, and all of them has ADHD or ADD. My oldest daughter has dyslexia.
Okay.
And I've never been diagnosed, but I know it came from somewhere.
Yeah.
Because they have 2 different fathers, and all of them have it. So I know it's coming from my gene pool. And I think I really do have it. I just never been diagnosed with it. And like you said, because you're very mature for your age and you learn how to function in life, it gets ignored because it's like, oh, she's perfect normal. She's doing what she needs to do. So it's like, oh, and she struggles a little, but everybody struggles. So we know how to mask certain things because it becomes normal. We taught ourselves our own skills to deal with it without actually being diagnosed with it.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. So as a child, I had 2 working parents in a middle class family, and they had to work, right? And so I had 2 younger siblings, and I early on became like a latchkey kid and had to take care of them. So my survival skills of just how to survive kind of kicked in. And so for me, I think a lot of it came to the point where it was just like, oh, this girl, she can, she knows how to navigate around. She knows how to take care. I started cooking when I was 6 years old. And so it was just like, yeah, there's no way she can't read or write or do. They actually thought that I was playing games and that I would get in trouble a lot. Even would get beatings. I would be put on punishment because they thought that I was just playing. Like, how could you know the words to all these songs? People say it all the time, right? Well, if you can sing the song, then you can write.
Yeah, people with ADHD have photographic memory because they have to function some way. I deal with that with my son all the time. Like, there's no way. It's like, we'll go through his spelling words, and I'm like, there's no way you know all those words. Said it one time, he memorized it. But if you was to put something in front of him, like, I don't know that. But,
yes.
But if you said it, I tell the teacher, show him a picture. Say it to him. Yes. Make him, give him something so he can put it in his memory. Because a lot of people with ADHD attach memory to photos and images and
association.
Like yeah,
we have to associate. So a lot of times, even in my conversation, I will talk to someone and I'll make a strange association. Yeah. And people are like, why are you getting off track? But I'm really not getting off track. For me, I'm actually making an association so that I can remember something later. So, people will say like, oh, you're hyper or you have attention deficit. And it's really that my attention is not deficit. I'm making a strange association that's going to help me to remember something later. And so our brains are just wired differently. But get this unique, I know that a lot of people here, especially now people in the workplace, are probably hearing neurodivergence, right? It just means that our brains is neurally wired differently and it diverge from neurotypical brain behavior or activity. And so this neurodivergence actually helps us to be kind of better in work environments because we bring a different nuance that you don't normally see in work environments. And we can see different problems in a different way. We can come up with different types of solutions. And we're really actually very marketable and very handy around the workplace if you really think about it.
I agree. Because especially when the vigilant, I can't even say the word. When you hyper focus, there we go.
Yeah, hyperfixation. I'm a hyperfixator.
When we hyper focus, it's an awesome thing. Like if we zero in the one thing, we just hyper do it and we overdo it, doing. Like we get things done very quickly because we're obsessed with it. We get very obsessed with a certain thing and we'll make it great. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I noticed that, but it's a good and bad thing because with my kids, I noticed like, oh, they'll get hyper fixated on something. And then once they satisfy that hyperfixation, they don't ever return back to that thing.
Yes. Okay. That's a good thing too about people with, that's a great observation, right? So a lot of times it looks like people who have ADHD have like really short I call it passion spans.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not really that I have a short attention span. I become passionate about things very shortly. Mm-hmm. And so I will hyperfixate on something. And then once I kind of do what I need to do with it, I'm no longer interested. Right. So they may say, I want to become a ballerina. You spend all this money, and help them to become in dance school. And then once they're kind of finished with the first recital, they don't want to do it anymore, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a classic sign of a person who has ADHD, that they have these short, passionate moments. We are very passionate people. We become excited about a lot of different things at one time. And so, especially when they're really young, parents have a hard time with that. They're like, okay, you're fickle. You're not really passionate about any one thing. You're passionate a little bit about everything. But that is really typical about how their brains are just kind of wired and how we kind of work. And it just becomes like a nuance. I think for me as a young child, I was really passionate about a lot of things. And I had a lot of different type of curiosity and creativity. But because to everyone else all over the place, and I could not fixate or really get down to one thing, I was really chastised for that as a child, like really, really chastised. So I kept a lot of that. I started quieting my voice and started becoming more inward. I stopped and halted my entire creativity process. And as an educator and a type of educator that I am, I realized that you really cannot manifest the things you need to learn in education unless you have creativity, right? You really, especially for higher education purposes, because how do you reason if you can't create? How do you come up with mathematical probability if you can't create? So a lot of times I found in early childhood education, which is what my major is in, is that when we don't allow children to have that creativity and we don't allow children, especially children with disabilities, to allow their minds to work freely in a way that is naturally designed, we cap them when we need them to be creative, free thinkers later. Exactly.
I totally agree with that. That's the challenge that I have with all my kids' teachers because they're traditional teachers. Mm-hmm. And I made it my business to make sure that my kids stay in regular classes and not get transitioned to other classes because, kids with ADHD become challenging. And it's like, well, it's easier to throw you in a room with other kids and lower your quality of education because it's just easier for us. And I'm one of those moms like, well, guess what? Not mine. So my baby gonna be in this class with this IEP. Yeah, I'm gonna adapt to them, and they're not gonna adapt to you. And it's some traditional teachers where they just like, well, I'm not gonna teach them any different because I don't want them to feel different. I said, well, we're okay with being treated different. Okay, we're okay with it.
That's just really bizarre to me. So as a person, because of everything that I went through with education, so what ended up happening, I'll go back to my story and tell you why I really decided to go into education. So what ended up happening, like I said, I sustained a brain injury. I lived in New Jersey, and at the time they had something called milk bars. These were teen clubs, right? And so one time I went to the milk bars with my cousins, and two of my cousins got into a huge fight. Well, the fight broke out, and it was so bad that someone thought that there was a gun in the place, but it wasn't. But a stampede happened of people trying to exit, and I got trampled. And then a part of that trampled, I passed out, had oxygen deprivation, and sustained a huge brain injury. When I came out, I lost a huge part of my memory. Just a huge, like, I didn't even really recognize my mom for a long part. Like, a lot of my past, I didn't recognize. A lot of things I learned in education, I did not. So I went from being in a traditional, like you were just saying, classroom setting to being in a very restrictive IEP inclusive setting. So these were students who were severely disabled. Most of them could not talk, most of them could not write, most of them were bound in wheelchairs. And so that was a really hard transition for me because I was kind of like a popular student, head of the step team. I knew all the people that knew all the people.
Yeah.
And then I got transitioned, right? So there's nothing physically different from me, but there's a mental different capacity for me. But mind you, I never really did well in school ever. My GPA was a 1.23. I was not doing well in school, but I was socially very popular. Okay. And so when I went to this classroom that was very restrictive, I had a teacher that was there who was teaching, was one teacher in the classroom. And he was so happy to have someone that he can actually really communicate with, sit down and teach. He went back and told me everything that was missing, holes and gaps wise. So I got to have one-on-one instruction for 3 months.
No?
Yes. But however, because I started getting bullied in my school because, again, I went from being this popular person to now I got to walk around and go to lunch with them. Now we got to walk around, so now I'm being teased. And baby, I was a fighter. I'm a Jersey girl. So, and I grew up in a household, go hit them back. It wasn't like, So with the fighting and everything like that, they were like, okay, listen, you're about to get kicked out of school. We don't know what to do. And so my dad was like, you know what? My mom and my dad didn't live in the same state. My dad lived in Maryland. My dad lived in DC. My mom lives in down here. Let's just start over because it's just, you were trampled. You had this thing happen, the school situation. Let's just do a fresh start. So when I moved down here to Maryland, they did not know how to do the exchange equivalent with the classes because, like I said, my GPA was a 1.23. I had missed over 90 days of school because I was skipping school because no one cared. I went to a predominantly white school. They did not care about Black students. They actually told me I would never go to college, that I could never do anything, but maybe just be a cosmetologist. And I didn't even know how to do my own hair at the time. I wasn't even doing hair. I didn't know how to do anything. And so when I came here, I will say it's always a blessing when someone changes the trajectory of your life, right? It was this old Black woman that was a counselor, and I'll never forget. She said, Ly'chel, I'm looking at this paperwork and I'm looking at you, and I don't believe what they say about you. Let's test you and see where you fall. Now, mind you, I had just spent 3 months with this guy one-on-one, learning everything to try to regroup the holes and the gaps that I had, academically. And when they tested me, I tested college level in every subject area but reading and writing. And that's when they found out I had dyslexia and dysgraphia. And they put me in my right grade. So I went to the 11th grade. So like I said, I never did the 10th grade. They put me in my right grade and they gave me a 9th grade reading language arts course so that I can catch up. So I had to do 9th grade language arts and 10th grade because those were the two areas that I felt weak in. And I graduated on time. I became America's student, who's who among American students. I got 90-something, $6,000 worth of scholarships. And the rest of the career was successful. Went on to graduate, became a teacher, and then worked for the federal government as a SME in education and writing curriculum and design for IT sector.
That's what's up. And just because one person took the time out to believe that your story, like you are more than what was written on this paper. Because a lot of that's what it is. Like they'll look at the paper, it's like, well, they'll write people off based on what
they see.
Yeah, like you have to be in the educational field. You have to look beyond. You got to read between the lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like an English teacher, you got to read in between the lines. What is the author actually saying, right?
You got to make inferences.
Yes, you got to actually see what the person is actually saying here. Like, what is actually going on here? This and this doesn't add up, right? So I think that is awesome. That's an awesome story. And also a couple things. When you submitted your form to me, you was talking about a lot of stuff that you experienced as a child, also about pretty much losing your identity and like you feel like you were people pleasing and stuff like that. Would you like to go a little bit into that?
Sure. Yeah, as a child, because I did not understand the world around me. Like as an adult, I just recently was diagnosed with high functioning autism.
Mhm.
And as a child, I just did not understand the world around me. Just did not understand one, I did not understand humor. I remember watching like Tom and Jerry, and like Tom would like, beat Jerry over the head or something like that. And everyone would laugh. And I would be like, wait, what was funny? Like, why are we all laughing? It just was like, I would be so curious, like, okay, what am I missing? I always felt like I was missing something. And it's just kind of strange because a lot of times you think autism, you think socially awkward, right? I had friends. I was very communicative. I was talking. My mom said when I was an infant, I would ramble on and ramble on, like as if I was saying all these words, but nothing was coming out. But, I was just like, boom, 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 and boom. And everybody be like, oh my God, what happened, girl? So I always was a communicator, but I always felt lost. I never felt like I belonged. I always felt lost. So because of that, I wanted to assimilate in every possible scenario. I wanted to fit in. I wanted people to like me because I still have a hard time reading whether or not someone likes me. Because I am in education, I'm in special education, I understand that sometimes people who have autism struggle with being able to read social emotional cues. They struggle with understanding, like, how to properly be in circle groups. They oftentimes are mistreated or taken advantage of because they don't know the social parameters of things. So there's a lot of times that I was like mistreated, taken advantage of. I dealt with sexual abuse. So there was a lot of things that just didn't click for me. And now that I'm 42 and I can look back and I'm an adult, I can go back and just see like why I just missed so much. And so I had to get to a point, and it was a lot of spirituality that helped me with this because I just was so broken and I was so hurt over just so many things that's transpired and happened in my life that I had to get to a point where I was either going to stay here and decide that I'm going to live, or I was just going to go. Yeah, it was just like one or the other for me.
So can you go a little bit more into that shift, that mindset switch where you were at this crossroad where you like either this or that, either I'm going to fix this or I'm just going to end it off. Like what, as you decided, I'm pretty much where you're still here. So you decided to stay here.
I mean,
decided to stay here and continue this journey here. So like what, can you go into a little bit about that shift and that journey?
Sure. I think for me, I always wanted to feel loved and chosen, right? And granted, I will say I have parents who love me. So it wasn't like I had a situation where like my mom didn't love me and my dad didn't. I didn't have that. Like my parents both loved me. They had their situations amongst each other. And I don't know if that had something to do with it. But in my dating relationships, I always wanted to be chosen in that realm, right? Growing up in New Jersey and being a Black woman was hard. We were not the standard of beauty or the standard of an eye affection. It was always they wanted someone either that was white, Hispanic, or Asian. But if you were Black, from where I was growing up in the town I was in, you were not it, right? And so that feeling of not being chosen, I think for me, I took that on so harshly. And so once I moved to Maryland, and it was completely different. I lived in PG County. It was like being at a HBCU, baby. It was Black v. Black on Black on Black. But I was just amazed about how many men were attracted to me being a Black woman. That was new for me. Completely new for me. And so I quickly ended up having a boyfriend, like quickly. And we ended up getting married. Well, we ended up being in a long-term relationship, but it was a very abusive situation. And I just didn't even know that that's not something that I should even entertain. Mm-hmm. Like I never had a healthy form of a relationship at that time because I just felt like in my mind, and also being heavily in the church and from everything that I can understand, I might have been seeing it from an autistic point of view, right? Mm-hmm. And so I might have misunderstood this, but what I understood at the time was, and I feel like a lot of Black women kind of can identify with this, is that you have to go with who chooses you. Okay. So I know I talked to a lot of black women. Like, we were taught that, like, oh, if a man chooses you and you're chosen by this person, that's your choice. That's what you go by. He asked you to be your girlfriend. That's your man.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's kind of how it went. But this person, and I'm not saying we're really cool to this point, my ex-husband. But it was a very abusive amount of dating that we went through because we were teenagers, and he had dealt with some things in his prior past, and he didn't have really good examples, I don't think, of how to really control his emotional standpoint. A lot of men don't deal with their emotions.
Yeah.
They don't know how to deal with their anger. They don't know how to deal with rage. And he grew up as the youngest of 8 boys. So it was like, when I get angry, this is how I react. And I was the brunt of a lot of his anger and a lot of his frustration. And so I took that on as that that's how I'm supposed to be loved, and that I'm also supposed to stand behind my man, be a ride or die. You know what I'm saying? Accept the apology, and things are going to be better, and just make things work. And so it wasn't until in the marriage that there was infidelity as well. So with the combination of the infidelity, the verbal and the physical abuse, I eventually had to leave. But that left a scar, you know, a scar I felt as a wife. I felt as a woman. I had infertility issues too that I was dealing with. So because we couldn't conceive, we couldn't have a baby, like, just the whole gamut. And I was a young woman in my mid-20s. I eventually did get married again. And also, again, dealing with infertility, trying to get pregnant. And then also going through financial and verbal abuse in that particular marriage. And then also, again, infidelity. And both of those marriages ending with them having children that I could not have. It left me out of those relationships pretty down, not having the best self-esteem about myself, and feeling like I had essentially just lost, you know?
I totally understand.
Yeah.
It's like you feel like your identity is attached to all those individual things, and because you cannot, as a woman, your identity is attached to these specific things, and because your man is not choosing you, he's with you, but he's choosing other women, right? You're not able to have kids. You're not able to do everything that the standard woman's supposed to do. You feel like, okay, I'm failing as a woman. I'm failing as a person. Like, so now you feel like, who am I? Who am I outside of this situation, right? So you lost your identity in these situations, and you lost who you were, or who you think you're supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And I became so successful in, like, my career and education and getting my degrees and all these things. But when it came to relationship, I was failing constantly.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, why? I don't understand. You know, like, not only did I have my degrees, but I was also in business, and I was excelling in business, you know. And so all of my identity was wrapped up in being this pinnacle type of woman, being perfected, because I felt like in school when I was younger, I was struggling so much and I wasn't perfect that I was striving for perfection.
Yep.
And so not being able to meet the level of perfection as a woman, it literally was killing me on the inside, because my definition of who I was based on everything that was circumstantial around me.
Yep. Instead of who you are.
And also, so what I had to realize is that it came to a point where I was like, ready. I attempted suicide several times, and it wasn't happening. You know, it just was not.
It ain't your time, baby.
I wasn't dying.
No, God wasn't done with you. He was like, huh? You ever heard that song, God Not Done With You Yet?
Yes. And so finally I just got frustrated. I said, you know what? Okay. It's me and God were just talking. I said, you know what? I'm just going to, since you're deciding to keep me here, I'm going to make a promise that I'm not going to go down that route anymore. You know, I'm not going to do that anymore. But you have to show me who I am.
Yeah.
Like, you have to show me who I am in you, because I'm not seeing it. I'm not understanding. You know, yes, great. I love being a teacher. Great. I love impacting all these children. Great. I love doing all these things. But what about my life? You know what I'm saying? What about me? I love my nieces and my nephews. I love my parents. But what about me? Like, what about my personal enjoyment, my fulfillment? And I remember saying this. I remember I was doing Bible study, and they were talking about having the joy of the Lord, right? About joy. And then it's also scripture, like, think of all these things that are lovely, that are pleasant, that are full of joy, all this thing. And I was like, God, I don't know what joy is. I remember, like, I don't know what that is.
I know how to bring it to other people, but I don't know how to experience it myself.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. And God was just like, I'll show you. Like, if you give me time, I'll show you. And so one of the things that I did that changed everything for me, and I teach people how to do this, is that I dated God. So I just dated God. I didn't stop dating altogether. And I just dated God. So I spent time being in an intimate relationship with the Lord. You know, just intimately, like spending up, making sure that we had time for devotional in the morning, making sure that I prayed consistently throughout the day, making sure that we went on little dates together, whether it was, God, I want to go to a movie today, or maybe we should go out to dinner, or maybe we should, and you will be amazed. I would go out to dinner and someone would come and pay for my entire meal. I would go to dinner and a manager would come over and send me all these courses and then just say, it's on us. Like, God would just show out every single time. But I think the most amazing part of this is as I was taking time to read the word and to be with God, he was showing me who I was and whose I was. And the best thing he ever showed me was that I was already chosen from the beginning of time.
That's something like I say all the time. Like you hear me, you'll see it in my pockets. Was like, I used to struggle with the same thing. And then I had the, like you said, I had the conversation with God, and God told me, it's like, it was, I don't know what you're waiting for or what you think you have to accomplish or do, that it's your birthright. Like I gave it to you at birth, that you are mine. You are my child. You are a split image of me. Whatever I am, you are.
Yes.
You were born worthy of everything. So I don't know what you're trying to accomplish at this moment.
Listen, I was doing a conference call. God had put in my spirit to do a conference call. God did not give us a spirit of fear. Mm-hmm. And it was in a point in my life, I was being fearful of everything. Like, I was just afraid. And God was just like, I didn't give you the spirit of that. Like, what are you doing? Exactly. And so he walked me through doing this conference. And in doing this conference, as I was studying the word of God, and I was going back to Genesis. And when God created Adam, when God created the heavens and the earth, basically, he showed me that it said the spirit of the Lord hovered over earth, right? So God never left the throne of grace. He was still there with the angels, and they were saying, you know, like mercy, 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 or glory, 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 right, over God. Like God was still, but his spirit was hovering over, and he was declaring these things and saying the word when before him had spoken. It was doing this. And then, the seventh day ended, everything was done. Yeah. And then God decided to form Adam. Well, God was like, well, why did I decide to form Adam? Because he's the Alpha and he's the Omega. He knew sin was going to come into the earth. Yeah. And he knew that we were going to eventually need a savior who was going to come through the bloodline of Eve. He knew this. And Eve was going to come from Adam, right? And so when he looked at everybody who would be under sin and would fall, it was me, it was you, it was our children. And so it provoked God so much that he came and physically went up and put his hands in the dirt, found a place to breathe the breath of life into Adam and to create a creation like his own that had a DNA of holiness, of the Holy Trinity of DNA, because that's what Jesus needed. So he loved us that much that he came and formed Adam in his own divinity so that Jesus can be a part of it, because Eve will be a part of that. Mm-hmm. And so he was like, I chose you then. Back then when I was provoked, and it made the devil mad. Yeah. That's what made Satan mad. Satan got mad at that very moment because he said, oh, hold on, wait a minute. Where God go?
Exactly.
We over here singing to this man. Where he at? Oh, he in Eden? He's touching dirt? He breathing what? We're not made like that. Mm-hmm. That's what made Satan mad. That he loved his creation that much that he came to make a savior for us. And so once I realized that, it changed everything. Mm-hmm.
I totally agree. Like we have to literally, I did a sermon before, last sermon, episode here, like let go and let God, right? Let go and let God. And we have to let him take control, just hand it over to him. Like, we have to learn how to hand over our issues, our struggles, and let God do it, and then give it back to us after he washed it and cleaned it, right? Just give it to him. And he'll hand it back to you the way it needs to be done, and trust that whatever he's handed back to you is what is meant for you, right?
Yes.
The questioning and thinking like, this is not from God, this is not, we'll know. Because the biggest challenge that I notice that people think, I tell them to think about it like this: if it's easy, 90% of the time it's not from God, right?
Yeah.
People like, oh, it's not. If this was God, why is it so hard? Because if it's God, the devil's coming for you, right? His minions after you. If it's coming from God, his minions is coming. If it's not from God, it's easy because the devil has no fear. He has nothing to fear. Like, oh, I got that one, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna let them go down that road because I'm gonna make it as easy as possible for them because I need them to finish, right?
Yes.
If it's God, you have everything coming at you in every direction, because for you to get to the end, that means he lost one. Right, he lost,
but also the souls you're connected to.
Yeah.
Right. So I always tell people the harder the fight you have is because he's like, oh, this one, that's 5 souls.
Yeah.
This one, that's 100. You're 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
You're 100,000.
How many people?
I can afford.
Yep. Your story, your message. When you get to where you got to go, the lives that you're about to impact or change is dangerous to him. Right?
Yes, it's dangerous to the kingdom.
Yes,
right? This is warfare. He has the kingdom too. We got to remember. Mm-hmm. He has the kingdom too that he's trying to build up. Also, we're fighting for the glory of God and God's kingdom. Yep. And so there is a war going on. This is war strategy. Mm-hmm. And so I always say this is breeding and training grounds. But you have to know that no matter if you're going through the fire, baby, the Bible said there's a 4th man in the fire. And he looks like the Son of God. Yep. So you're going to go through that fire and you're going to do what? Look like you ain't never been smoked. Mm-hmm. You're going to look like there's no split on you. You're going to look like nothing has. People say like, oh, I have people tell me you ain't been through nothing. Yeah. And I laugh because they don't know my story.
Like, I love that. Like, I was reading your messages, like you said in one of your inputs, you said like, I don't look at problems the same way anymore. I look at them as opportunities.
Yes. Yes, let me explain that. That's such an amazing thing because God gave me that. One day God said, he said, Ly'chel, I've always been, so let me just say this. People say, God said that. So as a child, this might be why I was a little weird too as well. I've always heard the voice of God from an infancy. I've never been without the voice of God. I've always heard God. Mm-hmm. That's always been my thing. And so God spoke to me one day and he said, Ly'chel, there's no such thing as problems. Problems do not exist. That is a lie from the enemy. So I said, okay, God, I hear you, but you need to explain because my life be feeling like it got a lot of problems. Like, these problems is problematic. Like, life be lifing,
Life be lifing.
These problems be problematic. Like, they just be doing they be multiplying, Lord. I can't understand what you saying because I be having problems on problems. Right? He said, no, I need you to change your perspective. He says, problems don't exist. You only have opportunities for solutions. Mm-hmm. Every problem that comes to you is just an opportunity for you to solve it. And if I give you a problem or if an opportunity comes your way, you are the capable person to do it. The solution is within you. I would never bring you something that you cannot solve. Mm-hmm. Now, you may have to change your mindset. Like I'm telling you right now, change your mindset that this is not a problem. This is an opportunity for a solution. And once you change it for knowing that it's an opportunity for a solution to happen, then you'll change how you're positioning yourself to solve it. So as a teacher, what I told my students, problems don't exist. These are all opportunities for solution. So when I present you with a problem, now we have to think about how we're going to solve this problem. Are we going to be a mathematician? Do we need to be an artist? Do we need to be a writer, an architect? How do we change who we are right now to create something? Because our Lord is creative. Mm-hmm. Right? He metamorphosed himself and create himself in so many different ways to solve so many different problems in the Bible. If we're going to be anything like him, and when we are made in his image, that means we are creative too, and that we can change who we are when we need to make a change. When these opportunities present ourselves, we are the one. I tell people, you're Obi-Wan Kenobi, baby. You're the one. You built for this.
Amen. Right? That is awesome. That 100%, I 100% agree with that. Because that's what I kind of do too. I kind of like, I keep reminding myself, I wouldn't be going through these things if God didn't put it on me for a reason, right? He must believe that I'm strong enough to deal with these things. He must believe that I'm the one to solve these problems. So I, I used to think of them as like burdens and like, oh my God, why me? You ever see that meme that was going around? I was like, God, give the strongest battles
Yes.
to the strongest. I was like, Nick, please don't give me no more. But then you think about it like, well, it's a purpose for it, right? So you got to just like, if I'm not getting any challenges or any battles, that means I'm stopping growing. My purpose, I need to be, and I need to get closer to my purpose. And like these are things that are bringing me closest to my purpose because
And you're
it's building something in
learning.
me, it's developing something
Yeah,
inside
you're
of me.
developing, you're growing,
Yes.
right? You're learning. And I just tell my kids, like, once we know 2 plus 2 is 4, we should be sad. We should celebrate when we don't understand that 2 plus 2 equals 4 because now we still have more opportunity. And that's why it's an opportunity for solution, right? So when we don't know, when we get to a wrong answer, we don't get sad. We don't get down. We start to celebrate it because now it's like, oh my goodness, we didn't find the answer. There's more opportunity here. So even when in life, when we haven't found the solution, we haven't gotten there. Like I haven't found, like I'm not in my federal job anymore, right? I don't have my federal job. It's hard, right? Because I'm unemployed, but I still have more opportunity to find how I'm going to replace that income. Sometimes I do get sad. I thought I was going to get a job that I didn't get the other day, but now I still have more opportunity. What am I doing? I'm using the possibility to apply for as many jobs as possible or to extend myself into many different avenues as possible. So my possibilities have increased. The more I increase my possibilities, the more I will be able to discover the solution. But if I had a mindset that I was actually, oh, I don't have a job, oh, I just lost this one job, I'm just going to give up, or my things are narrowing, and I'm not increasing my possibilities, I'm narrowing my solution potential.
Totally agree. 100% agree. Now we're going to do a little transition. We usually do about 5 questions, but I'm going to do 3 because we kind of like short on time. But
Okay.
it's a game called Thank God I'm Healing. And we're going to kind of like, I'm going to give you a scenario and then we're going to pretty much talk about what you would have did before you started your healing process and then what you would do now that you're actually healed and you learned a little bit more different, right?
Okay,
So
let's go.
let's go. The first scenario is you realize you've been changing who you are just to keep people around you happy, even if it means hiding parts of yourself. Before your healing journey, how would you have handled this situation?
I definitely would have stimulated and try to become the person they wanted me to be. For sure. I would have changed who I was to meet that individual need in whatever scenario I was in. And so in one group I would have been this person, the next group I would have been a different person just to meet those needs.
Me, I would have ghosted everybody, I swear. Like, like people like, I don't know, like when I get overstimulated and I don't want to deal with stuff or I don't want to do stuff, I'll just ghost everybody. I would have just ghosted everybody. I would have just stopped answering my phone. I would have just did like where's she at? Disappeared.
Right.
Okay. Now, how do you protect your identity and stay true to who you are?
I show up genuinely as myself and trust in knowing that my personality is warranted in a space and that people can really truly like me. And if people don't like my energy or who I am, I'm okay with them exiting.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I just say no. I'd be like, no, I ain't doing that. Like, I don't like it. I think I went from being too quiet and being like disappeared to be too blunt. Like, I've been like, yeah, I don't like that. So either we gonna have to change this or it is what it is. Like, they be like, who is you talking
Yeah, I think it is. Especially it is what it is. That's why I say about it is what it is. Like,
Yeah,
this is my
like they
show.
like, who
This
is
is how I'm coming around.
like
Yeah.
my confidence level was like too like kind of they was like, who does she think she is? Like I always say my fun name, I'm Rose Lipton Mae Jones, excuse me.
Hey,
Like,
hello.
hello? They be like,
Hello.
like here she come. And then if I get now like Letha Mae, girl out the country come out like Letha Mae in the house. What you talking? Who you talking to, nigga? Who you talking to?
But I think it's also something that come with age. So I'm 42 now. I'm 42 now.
I'm 38. Like I'm done
Okay,
with
see,
this. Like,
see there, right there. It's right there. It's
yeah,
right there.
this is too old for this. Too old for this. Okay, scenario 2. Everyone around you sees that you are the strong one, right? Because this is what we did with as kids, right? The strong one. So you feel like you cannot show when you're hurting or you're struggling. Before healing, how did you handle carrying that pressure alone?
Yeah, I definitely was a strong one. And I took on the belief that I was strong and that I had to do it in my own strength. And I took that on as a badge of honor and that I was going to do it. I walked around like I had all the muscles in the world and I was 10 feet tall.
Yep. Me too. I did the same thing. I literally just did. I didn't even wait for people to ask me to do stuff anymore. I just did it. Like, I just knew I was going to be the one that was going to do it. So I just handled it. I just took over. Like, I'm the middle child and I carried my whole family, like my oldest sister, my oldest brother, even my mom and I took care of everybody. I carried that, like you said, like a badge of honor. Like that was my identity, the independent, strong woman. Like, I do it all. Nigga, I got 2 hours of sleep today. Nigga, I'm still out here. I'm out here. 2 hours of sleep. Who been up for 48 hours? Like, you talking like it's like you proud of it. I used to talk like this was like that was supposed to be something I'm supposed to be doing. Like, that was crazy. That's crazy. Now, how do you allow yourself to be honest about your emotions and when people try to put you back in that category?
I cried like a white woman. A white woman cried. White woman cried. Like, I cried. I cried. Like, it's just something, I don't know if I'm more emotional now. But I cried.
Because you hold it in for so long. Like, I'd say that my dad died about 10 years ago. And when he died, for some reason, all my emotions came flooding out. And now I can't stop from crying. I can't stop crying.
I'll cry during a commercial.
Yeah. Everything's so emotional. Like, oh, why are you so cute? Why this happened?
Yeah, I cry if I see a bird today, and I feel like, birds are it's a bluebird. I haven't seen a bluebird in a long time. Like, I cry. Like, I cry. And also, I tell people no.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing. I would never tell people. I'll figure it out. Now I'll be like, I can't do it. I'm sorry. It's just not going to work on my schedule today. No.
Oh, I'll literally just explain. Like, I'm just not I don't have the capacity. I don't have the capacity to do it. I got my own shit going on. I would love to help you, but I can help you in the best way that I can. But what you're asking me for, I can't do.
I can't do it.
I can't do that, but I can offer whatever's within my capacity I can get to you. But if it's not in my capacity, it's just not happening.
Yeah. And I start saying it on my self-worth. I'm worth more than that. This is what I expect. This is who I am. I'm not about to compete. I stand in my own lane. I'm really assured about myself. And baby, we're going to all respect that.
Respect it. Yep. And that boundaries, just setting up those boundaries, because I was trying to get myself out of that boat of being a strong one or taking care of everybody else. And then it's like feeling guilty when you say no or not be able to do the things that you used to do. And everybody looked at you, and I had to realize and tell myself, like, if I wasn't here, if I did not exist, they would figure out how to get it done. Yeah, exactly. They would figure out how to get it done.
Yes,
so act like you do not exist. Act like you were not born. You're not here. They will figure it out. And if they would figure out, it wasn't that damn important to them.
Yeah, they will figure it out. And they always do.
Exactly. Okay, next scenario. You gave your love, support, and energy to people in your life, but you start realizing that your needs and feelings are not being seen. Before healing, how would you have responded to feeling unseen?
This hits home. This is a personal one for me because recently I started suffering with seizures. I realized I have hypoglycemia, and I'm not gonna get emotional. And I've always been supportive of everyone. I've been there for everybody and everything, no matter what. But once this became really major for me, I started to see who was there for me and who wasn't. And it was good. It was 99.9% of the people did not show up for me. That was hard. And in the past, I realized they never really did. And I was still showing up for them, and I was still being there because why? A part of me was still people pleasing. A part of me was still, so there was like, sometimes I realized, well, God will snatch the rug up underneath you to show you there's still dust there. You could clean the whole entire house, but sometimes you still got dust underneath your rug. And so I thought I did away with it. I thought I did a good job. But he showed me, but no, baby, your friends, not everybody your friend. Not everybody your friend. Not even family sometimes.
Totally agree. I totally agree with that.
Talk about it.
Because like you're only you're only seen. My biggest issue with that was like being seen only when I was useful, right? So they see me when they needed something. They see me when I was doing stuff, when I was showing up, right? And the minute that I stopped showing up, I stopped becoming, well, when I stopped being accessible to them, my needs didn't matter, right? My needs, what I needed from them, that support that I needed from them did not matter because they couldn't use me anymore, right? So just being unseen, and that just like it hurts. It hurts, but it's a realization because I only got 2 day ones, right? And that's all I need, right? But he's like, what did God say? You got 3 back. As long as you got 3 of us, we all can stand back to back. We can see everything around us.
Yes.
So I got my 2 day. I got my 2 day one. So long as I can do my 360 view, we all got a view. We can all see what's coming. So just being able to know who got your back and who don't, you know what I mean? And I don't even say, I say that even though these people don't have your back or they're not there for you, doesn't mean that you have to dissociate with them too, right? You just put them in a category.
Yeah, you just
put people in that category. I heard this best. He said, people so mad that a snake is being a snake. Why are you mad that a snake is being a snake? Just know that it's a snake, right? Like we want to make a snake something that is not. Like, oh, I want to put a snake in a category as a alligator or something else, but it's not. A snake is going to act like a snake. So why are we putting them in other categories, right? So put people in a category. They're going to act what they're going to act according to. So don't expect nothing else other than what they are.
Exactly. And but also this too, Jesus, I mean, as I was praying about this to God and Jesus and everything, like I need to understand, because I'm just one of those type of friends that I feel like I'm a very good friend. I believe in being there to the end. You can tell me you're not my friend, but baby, I'm still your friend. Like I don't believe you just give up friendships just because, right? And so one of the things God had to remind me, he said, I knew every person that was going to betray me on the day going to the cross. And I still loved them. Even Judas. He said, so if you're like me, then that's okay. You can still love them, even if they betray you. Like you can still love them. And that's okay. You can still want to be their friend. You can still love them. You can still do content to them, but you also know who they are.
Exactly.
You're right. You can still know who they are, and you should forgive them. You should forgive them. Forgiveness is you should, because I'm forgiving you.
Yeah.
And I'm dying for you for it, so you can have that forgiveness. So I don't hold no remorse. I'm not upset about it. I totally understand it. People are people, and I love people genuinely. But it did hurt me. Yeah.
No, I totally get that. And that's where I'm at. Like, I love on people so much. And I was like, it's just hard for me to just hate people. Like, I can't be mad at people because I was like, dang, if that was me, how would I want somebody to treat me if that was me in that scenario? So I carry around a lot of empathy, right? And a lot of grace. Grace and empathy is like my go-to and my two-back. Like, well, if this was me, how would I want someone to treat me, right?
Yes.
And that's not saying go back to normal the relationship that you have with these people because they did hurt you. It's that's when we come in and put those boundaries and everything.
Yes, like those things in place.
Person character, you have to still protect yourself, but just like you can still love them. Even if it's from a distance too, you know what I'm saying? Love, you don't have to take the love away, but you do have to protect yourself at the same time.
I totally agree with you. I think you're 100% correct.
Yep. Well, we're going to end it right here. And before we end, do you have any advice that you want to give the listeners?
Yeah, sure. So I want to go back to the thing that we talked about, solutionology, right? And I want people to understand that just changing your perspective on life, and you don't have to even believe it yet in order to practice it. Once you start practicing it, you'll start believing it. So you live the life in which you believe. Your mind construct, the way your mind is constructed, is the way your reality portrays itself. What you believe is what you see, and what you believe is also what you begin to speak. So change what you believe in your mind, that problems don't exist. You only have opportunities to create a solution, and that you are capable of creating that solution, even if you have to change who you currently are. And so believe that. Change what you're saying about what you're seeing in front of you, and your entire world will open up to a world of possibilities.
Amen. Well, can you do your social medias and website and all that stuff so the listeners know where to find you at?
Sure. So you can find me on social media as far as I have lots of different businesses, but I'm going to tell you the easiest way to find me. You can find me on Instagram. Okay. And that's Goddess Lux Beauty on Instagram. And when you go there, inside of the profile is my link tree. Okay. So if you want to do a link tree, it's link tree and then it's backslash Ly'chel C. And it has all of my businesses. So I have 7 businesses right now, spanning from beauty all the way to having my own catering business. And I also do have a children's book out of hair affirmations because we're going to think of all things positive. And that is on my website, which is Goddess Lux Cosmetics. And you can find that on Instagram too at Goddess Lux Cosmetics or goddessluxcosmetics.com.
And we'll have all of that information in the show notes too, right?
Yes.
All that information. So y'all can definitely go back, get some food, some books, some hair, all of that, all black, all beauty. You know what I mean?
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, guys. Thank y'all for listening to us today, and thank y'all for coming for another episode of the Sister Love Podcast. And don't forget to join our Facebook group, Sister Let's Heal Together, and where we have all the resources and we come together and have the conversation that we started here on today on this podcast. So we go in more in depth in the group about the things that we're going through, and we hope and support each other. So until next time, signing out, your Sister Love Rose. Bye.